I hit the button and it never went live. I was wondering why I couldn't click on the stream and it wasn't showing up in Facebook.
So we've been broadcasting for 20 minutes now.
Yeah, we've been talking for 20 minutes before I looked up and realized that even I pressed the live button and for some reason it didn't take it.
Dang it.
So you'll have to read the first issue by yourself because we've already been talking for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're all right. So brief rundown. Thor's been looking for Jane Foster. He shows up at the mountain, and he finally gets taken in by the next men to see the High Evolutionary, as the High Evolutionary is modifying a wolf, and he causes a big ruckus. And the High Evolutionary comes down. Dude, that's a badass picture of him too, by the way. For a first appearance picture, that's cool. I mean, he's freaking spot on. The dang the costume hasn't changed or anything.
Yeah, but it's almost like Red Skull's face in like a tank.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, he's in some kind of armor.
Yeah,
and he's got the red head and the red clothing and the boots, which is just so cool. It's I've always liked him as a character. But yeah, he shows up, and all the next men are trying to hold Thor back, and he's like, you've interrupted me. I'm busy, dude, and I'm modifying animals here. But the thing is it's just to me, it's such an iconic design. I really like it. The thing is when we think about Galactus, who actually, if you go back and read this issue, people, is earlier in the issue when he first showed up in Fantastic Four 48. Remember we talked about how his costume was completely different.
Now he's all bright pink.
Yeah, and then you turn the page. Go to issue 49, and it changes, and then it changes.
He's brown.
50. Yeah, he's brown. I mean, and by the time it gets to 50, is the classic Galactus look that we're at now.
Yeah.
So Thor is causing this big ruckus, and he has stopped the High Evolutionary from what he's doing, and he's like, I'm looking for Jane Foster. And finally, High Evolutionary go to her. She's in that room. Just leave me alone. I'm working. So Thor hauls butt over there and breaks the doors in. And when he gets in there, there's Jane Foster, and she's teaching all of the next men. She's been hired as a teacher. And yep.
Okay.
Hey, look, she's got a nursing degree. Okay.
Look, this just became stupid. This just became an episode of Little House on the Prairie.
No, it's not. He needed a teacher for the alien people, or his modified animal human hybrids.
Yeah. If it was DC, it would be the Unmen from Arcane, but over here it's the next men from the High Evolutionary.
Yep. So Thor busts in there, and Jane's like, "Oh, Thor, my darling." So she hops up and gives him a hug, and then as as they're embracing, there's an explosion in the next room, and the High Evolutionary turns around, and we find out that the wolf that jumped into the evolutionary ray has been in there while all this is going on, and he's left the ray on. And they're like, we hope he doesn't become evil. And then, of course, you can see from the look that he's evil. We know it. And so the wolf has been evolved millions of years into the future and has reached the epitome of, wolf and human evolution. And because of that, he hates everything. And he comes out of the machine and he's going to attack Thor and Jane Foster and anybody else who's there. And then, like I said, that was 16 pages, first issue. I do not have the second part because we were just reading the High Evolutionary. Second part, the last of this issue, the rest of it was a Tales of Asgard. And then we skip forward to 135, the maddening menace of the super beast.
Dum dum dum.
Yep. And then here's our, cool, recap from last month. So the wolf is, he finds out that, he's been evolved millions of years, and he's going to attack Thor. And then Thor, of course, is like, Jane Foster, get back. And, of course, she does a little bit, and the beast just attacks Thor and lays into him pretty much. Just beats the snot out of him for a little bit. And here comes the High Evolutionary, sees the wolf, and he's got to defeat it because it's evil now and his creature's out of control. And he shows up, and he's got a giant ass dog whistle, which he blows and drives the wolf like mad. He thinks he's going to kill him, but he doesn't. And
he just drives some batshit crazy.
Yep. And he runs off. And of course, this is kind of cool. Thor, so he runs off, and Thor throws his hammer at him, and it just pocks off. And the wolf has evolved far enough mentally that he can now actually create like force fields around himself. And he uses that to knock the damn hammer off and disappears behind this door. And Thor's not even going to take any crap. He just heads after him. He's going to go after him, but the High Evolutionary stops him and tells him, look, you can't go to the door because the beast has created, he can create a force field around the door. Thor doesn't believe him. Of course, then he throws a device at him, and we discover that the actual door is protected now by a force field that destroys any positive matter. So he's like, even if you had went to the door, it would have killed you. I guess one of the things I've always liked about this character, though, is he's kind of like Galactus. Galactus isn't really evil. He just does it. And the High Evolutionary isn't really evil. We find out here in the story, he's kind of a nice guy, and he's doing crazy scientist stuff. He's Dr. Frankenstein, but he's not doing it to be evil. He's kind of experimenting and playing God when he shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And he even says as much here. He's so upset that the wolf has been created because he thinks it's going to kill everybody, all the humans. And of course, Jane's like, it can't be that bad, is it? Oh, yeah, it's that bad. And damn. So we flash back to Asgard, and they're throwing a big ass party, and Odin is watching, everybody joust and fight and all this. And this little guy Baldur's like, hey, look, we beat so and so. And if the Thunder God was here, I'd give you a good fight to watch, Odin. And Odin tells him, yeah, I'm really worried about the God of Thunder myself. And then there's our second splash page in this storyline. First one was Galactus. This one is the castle over the mountain in Wundagore.
The Man in the High Castle.
Yep. It's a good book, too. And you can see the rays finally come on, and when the lights appear at the top of the castle, the next men, the Knights of Wundagore, realize that the man wolf has managed, or the super beast, whatever you want to call it, super beast has managed to reach the evolutionary machine and has turned it on.
Not good.
Nope, not good at all. But High Evolutionary is a genius, and he has this induction device that he's going to magnetically clamp to the wall, and it will, kind of stop the protective field and make the super beast come out to Thor. And then when he gets out here, Thor can attack him with the Uru hammer or the Uru mallet. Of course, when the super beast comes out, he doesn't come out alone. He's managed to create all of his his army of next supermen. Sadly for him, though, they didn't create them as powerful as he himself is, so Thor kind of makes quick work of them. This guy, we find out later in the series, Tagar, is evolved the first ones that were evolved by the High Evolutionary, but he never says what he was evolved from. But he joins the fray and brings the next men to actually fight the Super Beast. Um, there is a lot going on in this panel, dude. There is a lot.
You think? I can't even count how many characters.
No, I mean, and I, you know, and this is the thing. I flip the page. You know, there's the big fight. You can still see, you know, there's a lot going on in the bottom panel. But then this is a whole freaking splash page. All the guns and the rays.
Yeah, and go back to the page before.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, look at that old dude. He's putting on his Nintendo Power Glove, getting ready to go fight.
Damn it! Come on, dude. So he puts on the Nintendo Power Glove, and then he goes into battle. Crap. So Thor manages to actually defeat most of the monsters and make it to the Super Beast, who is about to damn kill or defeat High Evolutionary, and he enters into combat with him. But now the Super Beast has developed a disintegrate ray. You know, he can use his mind to disintegrate stuff. But Thor tells him, he says, you know, alas, you know, you're the highest evolution of, you know, man and wolf, but you're still mortal, and I am the, you know, the son of Asgard, or son of Odin, prince of Asgard. And, you know, we get cool, you know, sound effects. What are they called? Apamata? Is that what they're called? I can't remember now. But so Thor
Sound
beats the
effects.
hell out of him. Yeah, I know they're sound effects, but they have another word for it. So he beats the snot out of them, and they drive them. Dude, this is what's cool. So the High Evolutionary manages to, you know, drive the next men and everything, and the Super Beast into this star chamber, he calls them.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, what are they going to do? He says, we managed to zero in on the galaxy Dropsima. And when they get everybody in there, they close the door and they blow their ass into space. And then now we find out that the High Evolutionary takes off his, you know, his helmet, and then he starts talking to Thor and tells him what happened. So this is our origin, which was cool because we were talking about it while we were offline. We meet High Evolutionary, and we don't find out his origin until the end of the two-part story. He's a genetic scientist, creates the first evolutionary ray, and when his Dalmatian pet that he evolves into like a human creature gets killed, he decides to leave and set up his own country. And when he does, he finds Wundagore, which is huge uranium deposits, and uses it to finance all of his creations and everything else.
Is it me, or does the High Evolutionary with his helmet off look like a young Jack the King Kirby?
He may, yeah. Yeah, that big old cleft chin and everything.
Yep.
But that's kind of a, you know, a lot of Kirby's characters have that same kind of cleft chin. Really, I mean, Ben Grimm is bad about it when he's in human form. You really can see it. So High Evolutionary tells him, you know, what's going on, and then he tells Jane and Thor, you know, you've helped me and everything else. Now leave. Of course, Jane's like, oh, what's he going to do? We'll find out. And they fly out of the castle spaceship / mountain, whatever you want to call it, and it takes off. And Thor's like, as I expected, it's actually a rocket. And the High Evolutionary and the next men that survive the battle head into outer space, where they'll find another planet where they're away from people, and they can, create a new society. And it's, of course, the next issue, Jane becomes immortal. I thought it was a really good issue. I'd never read it. I thought it was cool. I really liked the character. I liked the design. I do like the fact that even Dr. Doom has that kind of you know, sometimes he's got that. You can be sympathetic to him, but not as much. High Evolutionary is a lot more. But now the thing that's funny is after they take off, there's some issues later where they go to, was it Counter Earth, which is the Earth that's on the other side of the sun, and we can't see it, where he grows all of his animals. And you know, if they start screwing up or whatever, he kills them all and starts over. And that's when he starts going mad after he evolves himself. You know, this could be a character they could use in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially with all the stuff they're doing now, because they're doing crazy stuff. But we don't even know what Eternals is going to end up being.
Yeah, I know. It's just weird.
I mean, sometimes it looks great, and then sometimes I'm like, really? This doesn't look like they're following. I mean, the Celestials look really cool.
Oh, you're looking up that thing?
Yeah. 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 Because you're not sure what I'm talking about. I'm like, nope, we got to I got to show you what we're talking about here. All right, there you go. Her.
What in the holy is that?
That's a damn pop-up. Let me get rid of the pop-up. Boba
Asha.
Yep. She is let's scroll down here. Yep, see there's Scarlet Witch. Boba delivers the twins Pietro and Wanda. Boba's
Why doesn't she look like a cow there?
Was she kind of does. I mean, right there, but yeah,
but here, she looks like a person there.
Yeah. No, this is her. There's the cow person. See, she's holding the table, and there's Wanda's mom. So Boba's evolved cow created by a rogue scientist. The High Evolutionary is one of his new men. Animals given humanoid life. When the pregnant Magda Lashare arrived at the evolutionary citadel after fleeing from her husband, Boba served as midwife to birth her children, Petra and Wanda. Fearing that her husband may find her.
So the cow is not the mother.
No, it's not the mom, but she pretty much like raises them for a little bit.
Yeah. Did the mother die?
I think she does. I can't remember. But yeah,
I'm sure she probably does. But I was like, you know, I'm thinking. Oh, hold on a second. Let me do this again. I'm thinking, who had the sad job of knocking up a 6-foot tall cow?
Damn it. See, this is from Avengers 185. And I guess you've never read that. So that needs to be somewhere on our next reading list to continue the saga of the High Evolutionary and Scarlet Witch and Petro. It's like when John Byrne or George Perez were doing it. It's incredible issues. But yeah, I was telling you the cow lady, and it's just like, what the hell?
I'm like, I go, well, you know, I understand how the cow would nurse 2 babies, but the other part had me confused. You know, the whole thing with the 4 stomachs and all that.
Damn it. Yeah, created by Roy Thomas and Rich Buckler. First appearance is Giant Size Avengers #1. And
I'm gonna have to have a talk with Roy Boy Thomas there. If I had ever, if the other company would ever provide me with actual transportation to be able to go out and go shopping and go places, there was a one day, I think it was like a Saturday convention down in Providence, Rhode Island, and basically the only there were a bunch of like creators as guests, but they were like, mostly local people. But they got Roy Thomas, so they had a name draw, and I'm like, oh, now I've missed him twice.
Yeah, I'd love to meet Roy Thomas, and he lives in like South Carolina. He's not far from me. But yeah,
go for a ride. Your next vacation, just go knock on his door. Hi, Roy. I brought these books for you to sign.
Yeah, I'd be like that damn episode of Big Bang Theory where frickin' what's his face shows up at Stan Lee's house. Why don't you just come in and watch the game with me? No thanks. Great, no problem. Look who has a restraining order from Stan Lee. So, and here is the Avengers issue that I was talking about, and it's editor-in-chief, of course, is Jim Shooter. Cover artist and artist were John Byrne and Dan Green, and the writer was David Michelin, Mark Grunwald, and Stephen Grant.
Nice. Can you blow up the image of the cover?
Yeah, let me see. There you go.
Oh, is that the Druid?
It may be.
Like Dr. Druid?
There's a lot of that stuff where they're all connected. That is main characters: Avengers, Beast, Captain America, Falcon, Miss Marvel, Vision, Wasp, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Jarvis, Gyrich, Mordred the Mystic.
Oh, that's Mordred then.
Yeah, Mordred the Mystic and Chthon was the antagonist. And then the other characters that show up is, of course, Bova, High Evolutionary, Jonathan Drew, Magda, that's Scarlet Witch's mom, Robert Frank, some tribe. Yeah, here it is, Django Maximoff, Mira Maximoff, Anna Maximoff, Metro Maximoff. So there's a lot in this issue. But yeah, that's the one, like I said, that's where they go to the mountain and they kind of do the whole flashback, and that's what's going on. The most bizarre Avengers epic ever. 1979.
I was 9 years old.
I think it's 2 issues before this is one of my all-time favorite Avengers issues. Just for the freaking cover. Yeah, so that's where it starts in 185. And then that right there, look at that. Just because it's the Absorbing Man. Dude, that's a badass issue. If you've never read that one, where freaking Crusher Krill goes to get...
It's like, what did he absorb? New York City?
No, dude. So he shows up and they're in New York and the Avengers are fighting him and they're like laying, they're beating the hell out of him. And this is when the Absorbing Man was stupid powerful. So they're fighting him and everything else, and they're beating him, and he's absorbing iron and steel and all this, and they're still beating him. And finally he gets drawn into the naval base in New York, and there's a nuclear powered sub in there. So he gets pissed off, and or nuclear powered destroyer. So he goes to the nuclear powered destroyer and absorbs all of the nuclear freaking radiation and everything from the engine and grows gigantic. And
he absorbed the entire nuclear core.
Yes, and then he becomes absolute badass.
Yeah, I can see where that would be, bad.
Yeah, the early issues with the Absorbing Man, when he shows up in Thor, he is so strong. They had to tone him down. And even here, he's really powerful. I mean, this is not like in the episode of Absorbing Man issue where he fights the Hulk and he's falling from the plane, and he's normal and he's trying to reach out and absorb something. So when he hits the ground, he'll survive. And he grabs a piece of glass accidentally, and then when he hits the ground, he turns into a bunch of damn shards of glass.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's freaking a nuclear sub or nuclear destroyer. Yeah.
So there's a submarine stuck at the bottom of the ocean. All hands on deck.
And It's a 2-part story too. That's where it starts. And then, like I said, of course, they're beating him up. He's trying to, he's doing Absorbing Man stuff. He's trying to rob a bank or something. I can't remember. And they drive him to the docks, and he finally just has enough of it. And yeah, awesome storylines.
Nice.
But so I've showed you that. So I guess it's going to be a short episode today because we did half of it offline. What do you want to read next week?
Something just as short as this episode.
20, 25 episodes.
Let's read the silent episode of G.I. Joe.
The silent episode of G.I. Joe. What is that? Like 21, I think it is. Like Snake Eyes.
29 or something. 29 or whatever. The Snake Eyes issue where it's like the most expensive G.I. Joe comic out right now.
Yeah.
For back issues, and why? Because it's Snake Eyes. They could have just made Snake Eyes and a bunch of disposable Joes.
Well, and the other thing with that issue, though, is if you look at it, it's not only is it Snake Eyes, it's the first time that they ever do a complete issue where there's no words in the whole book. They have to tell it with just pictures. Now, that kind of got carried to its ultimate end, because that's where we talked about it. Steranko does it for like 4 or 5 pages in Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1. But a whole issue, there's no words in it at all. And now they do silent issues periodically, like, silent issue month. This is a month where you didn't have to really hire a writer.
So I guess it's my turn, huh?
Yeah.
How about ROM Space Knight #1?
#1, ROM Space Knight #1. I used to have a ROM toy. Now you can't afford one.
I know.
Fortune.
They're ridiculous.
What's funny is
I didn't realize I just got another box of comics in.
Did you?
I thought it had always been there. He's like, you saw that box there, right? And I'm thinking, I go, I had the one on the chair that I didn't open underneath the one with I got to buy some I don't want to buy Gorilla Glue because then if I fuck up, I can't redo it. I got to buy some like Testors model glue or something good like that, like the liquid kind. Because I had bought like years ago off of eBay, I bought like a custom Joker mobile. And they made it into a custom Joker mobile because it was big enough to fit the old, Batman the Animated Series action figures. And in this car came a Joker figure and a Talia figure.
Oh, cool.
So I need to put the damn thing back together. But I didn't notice, apparently it came in, it probably came in like late yesterday. And that box has about 35 issues of ROM in it.
Oh, sweet. I had most of the ROM run I bought years ago, and then I sold it years and years ago. And I bought them, honestly, I can remember where I bought them. I bought them in Augusta, Georgia at the comic book shop up there, and they were in a 25-cent box. I'm like, sweet. It's Sal Buscema. It's ROM. I remember the toy.
I paid $20 for the #1 and Very Fine Plus. I paid like $3 for the #2, and then all the rest were like $2 a piece.
So you got a pretty decent deal.
Yeah. I also sent you an invite to a toy 24/7 toy auction group, and
okay.
I sent it to you because they sell comics there too.
Oh, really?
Really cheap. And I know you said you were going back and buying like all the old X Factor ones.
Yeah.
And he has a mitt full of X Factor comics. If nobody else bids on them for $1 a piece.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check it out. See which ones I'm missing.
I just bought a slew of. I just bid on a slew of stuff. I just went like, nuts. He just sent me a package today. They're out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And he had some stuff up there that I couldn't say no to. Some early 90s Valiant stuff for $1 a piece. Some issues I didn't think I had. And then he had a bunch of random issues from Neil Adams' company.
Oh yeah, when he did the what was it, like Skate Man and whatever that other stuff.
It was something. I don't remember what it was. Let me look. The guy that puts him up is Danny Harrison, and his company name is Toys and Tits.
Oh Lord.
Because his wife is blessed. I think it might be more so the fact that she cuts all her shirts like the 90s. I'm looking at them now because they're alive, and she's got a Wonder Woman top on. So they're gonna sell a lot of stuff tonight.
They're there to draw people in.
Yeah, and they've got a toy dealer's license and accounts with NECA and Toy Biz and Hasbro and everything. You mean Crazy Man was the Neil Adams one.
Cool. I did pick up at the antique shop the other day.
Of course. What first appearance from the 60s did you pick up this time?
DC Special Presents. And then today I went out and looked and I found.
Ooh, nice.
And I picked up most of
Animal Man.
Most of Animal Man.
You could probably just buy a couple of the hardcovers to get the entire thing for the bookshelf.
These were a little over $1 a piece, so.
Yeah, you could have bought the hardcovers at like you could have bought them from Ollie's or Books A Million or something.
I've got some of them, but the hardcovers I bought from Ollie's are the Robinson hardcovers. They're not the Morrison run.
Oh. Yeah, so he has, he's got a bunch of stuff going on. He has like one big stack of books that was from the last time around that didn't sell.
Yeah.
And he put them all up for $1.
Oh,
and
cool.
There is some Astonishing X-Men, Lucifer, Elf Lord, Saxon Violins, Mystique, Next Gen, an issue of Pitt, some Thor, Doctor Strange 25 from the old run in the 90s where he made like the big circle spell, and it was like all in like all shiny stuff.
Yeah.
It's got an intro of Batman up here, like Young Blood, Bloodline, Street Fighter. I bet on New Warriors and stuff. Solar. What are the ones they have here? Neil Adams. Continuity Comics was Neil Adams' run. Death Watch.
I read that. Death Watch.
Yeah, it's like Death Watch and Crazy Man. They were like a random like about 10 issues out of Neil Adams, and then there was like one random Jim Shooter Defiant universe going on.
Yeah, I remember when Shooter had that stuff.
But yeah, so we're gonna do that book next week, and we will see you all then.